Hello. Welcome to my 31st October. I'm Lucky27, and this is a series of stories I have often told about my life. This is part 4 of the story entitled Apartment Hauntings. After my mom left that day, I went outside and took a look around the corner of our apartment building to see where our bedroom window was, and if it was anywhere close to the tree that was there. I still thought that maybe the scratching could have been branches, but the branches were absolutely nowhere near the side of the building. Nothing was. It was calm in the apartment for about a week. Then came the one that caused us to sleep in the living room for the next 2 years. Over the course of a couple of weeks, my husband and I separately became aware of a dark gray girl with red eyes that would crouch on the floor next to my husband's side of the bed. After a while of noticing her, my husband asked me if I was also aware of her. We both described her the same way to each other, but we also agreed that she didn't really look like that. She would make us fight any time we were in the bedroom, give my husband weird dreams, and she just really seemed to hate me. I felt uncomfortable in my own apartment, and eventually we started sleeping on the couches in the living room. My husband thought that she might be some kind of succubus or changeling of some kind since we were talking about having kids, but I thought she just might have a romantic attachment to him. After about 2 months of dealing with her by ignoring her and failing, I reached out to a local sensitive that had been recommended to me by a client of mine. I emailed her about the gray girl and the gray girl only and asked for advice. She told me that it sounded like a bad situation and asked to call me while I was alone in the apartment so that she could get a read off of everything. I did that, and boy, did she have a lot to say about the place. I hadn't told her about the design of the place or what else had gone on in there, but she started out by saying that it felt like I was having a party, even though I was completely alone. She sensed up to 20 different entities and asked if we had mirrors in the apartment that faced each other. She also asked if there were a lot of doors, and if we had hallways that led into hallways. I said yes to all 3. She then told me that the hallway we had that was between the 2 bedrooms had a vortex in it, and that she sensed at least 2, if not 3, portals that were being used to let things into the apartment. And she also sensed that at least one of those had been closed recently. I'm guessing that meant the chest of drawers. She said that a lot of what was in our apartment was from the surrounding areas and was created by bad events and mental illness. She felt we lived in old stomping grounds for lost souls and that our apartment complex, especially our apartment, was a place for the wandering ones. She began describing some of the wandering ones, and I knew of them. She talked about the Victorian child, the peeping Tom, the woman in the summer dress, whom I actually hadn't been aware of, but she did start to show herself after we got rid of the gray girl, and of course, the gray girl. She talked about the created things like the hellhound and Chewie, as well as elementals or spirits of the land like the spirit dog and the mimic. She also told me that there were 3 people that were there, and that they were attached to me, and that they were good and protective of me. She told me that 2 of them were what she felt like was a married couple, but that they stayed on opposite sides of our living room because they clearly weren't overly fond of each other. But they were both there for me. And she started trying to say my grandparents' names, and I confirmed them with her before she was able to finish them, because I already knew they were there. She then said that there was a young man that came and went between myself and another woman that was around my age, and she felt that he was romantically attached to her. She said that he came to me because he wasn't able to communicate with the one that he loved, but could do so through me. She then started to say names that sounded a lot like my sister's late fiancé, so I told her I knew about him too. She told me that all 3 were working together to try and keep me safe, especially from the gray girl. She went on to tell me what I had already suspected, which was that the gray girl was a woman that was attached to my husband. He either looked like her husband or my husband was with her in a past life. Either way, she wanted him and hated me because he wanted me more than he wanted her. She said that she was trying to coax my husband towards her and drive a wedge between he and I. But because my husband and I were more deeply connected to each other than he was with her, she was fighting a losing battle. She confirmed that she believed my husband and I were together in several lifetimes as lovers, friends, and possibly even brothers in arms. But she wasn't giving up. In conclusion, she told me to claim my space, to put together a mixture of sea salt, cedar, and sage oils, and make the symbol of the cross on all of the mirrors while calling out that I was claiming it and closing it. She said to put bells on the doors that led outside and to say prayers in the main bedroom to get rid of the girl, and also not to fight in the bedroom. We ended up hooking up an MP3 player to speakers in the room and playing the Prayer of St. Michael and the Prayer of Benediction on a continuous loop for months in that room. We slept in the living room, which the sensitive confirmed was the safest room in the apartment, not only because my grandparents, the Victorian child, and the spirit dog were the occupants of the room, but also the one mirror that was in that room reflected the sunlight from outside and lit it up. Eventually, we did discover that the gray girl had gone, and we cleared out the room as best we could. But we were uncomfortable sleeping there, so we just continued to sleep in the living room for the next 2 years. Other things came and went. They cut down the tree outside of our bedroom window, but the menacing feeling in that space never left. My husband got a job outside of the state and left me to finish out our lease. I ended up getting a roommate partly because I needed the help with the rent, and partly because I did not want to live there alone. I moved into the second bedroom and explained to him about everything that had gone on in the main bedroom. He willingly slept there. We had a few things happen while we were living together. When he was moving in, I had music playing, like I usually do, and while we were talking about the move and how he was feeling about it, Flo Rida's song, My House, started playing. We both laughed and said the house was welcoming him. Another time, we were watching a movie together in my room, and the smoke detector that was above his bedroom door on the ceiling flew off the ceiling, hit the wall, and landed on a violin that he had been gifted that was sitting outside his bedroom door while we watched it all happen from my room, which was across the hall. He actually saw the Victorian child and confirmed that it was a boy, as well as drawing a picture of the hellhound after he saw it in a dream. When he came to me to tell me about it, I described it before he could show me the drawing, and he was a little dumbfounded. Then one rainy night he caught me watching a little shadow child that was sitting at one of the picnic tables outside my window, and sat and watched the child with me. We both saw the child stand up and happily run off to meet with a shadow man that came to get her. They walked off together and dissolved as we watched. If he saw other things, I don't remember him telling me. There was a night that we had to chase off some bad visitors, and I ended up teaching him how to use my before-mentioned light shield and white light to find and kick out unwanted entities from the apartment, which I had gotten very good at by that time. I also warned him about Chewie, and he didn't seem to have a problem until close to the time I was moving away. He confided in me that he was getting some dark thoughts, and I reminded him about what Chewie feeds on and not to allow him the sustenance. After I moved away, he gave my mom a few of the things that I had accidentally left behind when I moved. One of these things was a wolf goblet that my sister had gifted to me. My mom told me that after he had given her the cup, she had felt a traveler attached to it that had come from my old apartment. From the way she described it, it sounded like Chewie. I warned her to be careful with him, but she told me not to worry, and that she had already banished it from her and the goblet. True to her word, I felt no traveler when I received it. Whether or not it was Chewie or something else, I don't know. My guess is that it attached itself to my roommate for food, then hoped to hitch a ride back to me. Too bad, so sad, that my mom is the kick-ass, powerful sensitive that she is, and banished the little goblin away. So, slight edit from my original video. I had forgotten about a situation that I've actually found a text message about from my former roommate about a month after I moved away, where he told me that Chewie had found his way back into the apartment. I asked him if he had gotten rid of it, and he told me that yeah, he did. He said he was in the shower and felt like something was causing dark thoughts. So he turned on his second sight while putting up his own version of a shield after I had taught him how to do the shielding. His was more like a snakeskin shield with like tentacles, I think is how he described it. But he said while he was putting the shield up, he saw the Chewie grin in his second sight. So he envisioned himself wrapping Chewie up in a layer of snakeskin and threw him out of the apartment. He ended up telling me that while his new roommates that he had gotten after I moved away had gone away for the weekend, that was when Chewie had found his way in. I reminded him of what Chewie was like and told him that he was probably just checking to see if my roommate was staying vigilant. And my roommate agreed and said that it was just easier to sense these things while he was alone, so it was easy for him to realize Chewie was there because his roommates were gone. And I reminded him that Chewie was not something he wanted in his head. And he said that he knew that because Chewie made him feel dark. So that was one time that I had forgotten about. However, I have found that old text message to remind me. And that was the story of my 3 back-to-back haunted apartments. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey with me. I'm not sure how often I'll be posting something here, so leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and the bell, so you get updated when I do post. If you have questions or you want to know more about something I've said, please leave a comment and maybe I'll make a video explanation on the subject. But please be polite and courteous with the comments. My feelings don't get hurt, but the world has enough hate and judgment in it. It doesn't need yours on this video. If you think you know who I am, please don't leave a comment guessing my identity. Just send an email to the address in the description box. Thanks, and I'll see you when I see you.